Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So this morning, I have some concerning things to share with you in regards to the U.S. market, global markets, Bitcoin, crypto, everything. We got some concerning data to talk about today. But what does that mean for Bitcoin overall? What does that mean for this bull run? Well, let's talk about it. All right, let's do it. Welcome, guys. You know what? I streamed last night, and quite frankly, even with all the scare from this morning, Bitcoin is higher. We were like at 64,000, like 400, 500. We're right around 65,000. And again, what I like to do is remind you guys that when in doubt, zoom out. I'm looking at the live chart right now, or the live chat, and there are so many people getting super bearish, yet when you zoom out, you'll see that we just been going sideways since March. Yeah, we dipped down to 52.3 or 53,000, but we're not at 53,000 right now. We're not forming another trend downwards. We're at 65,000. So why is there so much bearishness or bearish tone out there? It doesn't quite make a lot of sense. Okay, and that's because we have so many good things about Bitcoin. However, before I get to that, we do have some concerning data that came out this morning. If you look at the U.S. market right now, the market bell has just rung in the U.S. It's absolutely horrible. Okay, another minus 500 for Dow. We have minus 400 for NASDAQ. The market bell just rung 2 minutes ago. Okay, a lot of recession worry. I covered this last night. Recession. And we got more data today that indicates that we may be heading there. There's two pieces of data this morning. But you know, you look at like someone like Amazon who missed their quarterly report. Didn't miss. Well, I mean, missed, meaning that their numbers are horrible. They're down almost 10% today. Okay, and we're talking about someone like Amazon. Nvidia is still going down, almost below 100. And this is crazy if you think about they were just at what, 135, and they're now down to 100. That's like a 30% drop within weeks, right? But here's the thing. That's not what's scary about today. What's scary about today is the jobs report. A lot of people are looking at this. Hey, look at Bitcoin is going up. Right? See, again, this is why. All of you guys that are worried about Bitcoin, what are you doing? What are you doing? Anyways, going back to the jobs report in the U.S., 114,000 in July. It was anticipated or estimated we were going to add 185,000 jobs in July. We went from 185,000 down to 114,000. In terms of the actual jobs. That's horrible. If you do the math, what is that? It's like a 40% drop versus the estimate. And not only that, the unemployment rate ticks up to 4.3%. This is what Powell wanted all along. He warned people that unemployment may rise up above 4%, 4.2, 4.3, and now we're here. This is horrible. Horrible. So the notion of recession in the U.S., well, it's all the data is pointing to it. So the good thing is Powell has to cut rates sooner than expected, and we may get more. We know that for sure there will be one in September. He already revised the original estimate of 3 rate cuts to 1, but now with the horrible data, in September, not only will he cut, he may cut drastically, not 25 basis points, maybe 50 basis points. And maybe he'll announce that there needs to be another cut later this year, like in November or December. Because the way we're growing right now, it's really bad, really bad. Yesterday, we had that unemployment number. It came in hotter than expected, overestimates, and now we have a very underestimate jobs number, right? So Not looking good. Not looking good at all. We definitely don't want to. We're finally past all the COVID nonsense, recovering from that. And supposedly we finally got inflation under control, down to almost 2%. But this is the consequence. Now the U.S. economy is really struggling to get off the ground once again. So Big Daddy Powell has to come in and try to save the day and cut rates, right? And bring the liquidity back. And hopefully that will do it. Because if that doesn't do it, that's going to be bad. Because if that doesn't do it, then the money printers and the stimulus checks and all that may be coming again. Hopefully not. Hopefully that's a one-time thing. But it's not just the U.S. If you look at Europe, excuse me. If you look at Europe, across the board, all red, okay? So it's not just a U.S. thing. You look at Japan also. Japan plunged by 6%, the largest drop since the start of the pandemic. They actually had to raise rates recently because their currency is going to zero. They had this negative interest policy, and it's been hurting their yen like none other. It's fallen more than 50% versus the USD, and their economy is sucking right now too, right? They're down 16% in 17 days, and it's probably more than that now. Okay, so Japan is struggling like crazy. Europe is starting to suffer. The U.S. is suffering. This is what happens when you keep rates at an elevated level for so long, trying to bring down inflation. But we all know that doesn't do anything because inflation was caused by the overprinting and the overstimulus. That's the problem. When you increase the money supply from this to this within 2-3 years, it's hard to control inflation. So all the central banks, they only have one ammunition, really. It's just to raise rates or cut rates, and really that's it. So the only thing they could do is raise rates and keep it elevated for so long. And now they have really hurt economies around the world, right? So that's what's happening right now. There's a lot of fear about recession worldwide. Global markets are selling off, especially tech. Those Wall Street guys, what are they doing? They're dumping their risk-on assets. That's what they do before the start of any recession, or there's fears of recession. What does Wall Street do? They sell off risk-on assets like big tech, AI now, and crypto, right? That's what we've been seeing. But you know what? When it comes to what these guys don't realize is when it comes to Bitcoin, you can't treat Bitcoin like a risk-on asset because it's not. It's the best asset. It's the ultimate asset, the ultimate hedge against inflation. So if you don't like what the governments are doing about inflation, right? You don't like all this shenanigans with economic policy, then you want to turn to Bitcoin because it's the only one where you can't apply. No one controls it. There's no economic policy to apply, right? It is set by code, governed by the miners, and it's pure. You don't have to worry about things, right? That's why Wall Street and retail lettuce hands that are selling right now quite simply does not understand. If you did, you would be loading up as much Bitcoin as you can right now. And here's the thing. Like I started the stream, we're at 65,000. Okay, again, that's not a bad price. Keep in mind, our high in 2021 was 69,000. So we're not far off from there. And our high of this year was 73,000. Again, we're not far from there either. We're only 10% away. We're 10% away from our previous high formed this year. Take a second to think about it. We're not 20%. We're not 30%. We're not 50% off from our high. We're only 10% off from our previous high. So is it really that bad for Bitcoin and Bitcoiners? The answer is no. No. And the fact that Mt. Gox have almost distributed all of their Bitcoin already, and Bitcoin is still only 10% away from its previous high, That tells you how strong it is and how there are a lot of people that are still buying it too. Despite their Wall Street and retail that are selling, there are so many that are buying. Otherwise, we wouldn't be at 65,000. We would be at 30,000 right now. Okay, we're not at 30,000. We're not at 40,000. We're not at 50,000. We're at 65,000 right now. So if you look at Mt. Gox, they only have 2 billion left. They started out with how much? 140,000 Bitcoin. They had like 10 billion or 12 billion to distribute. And they did. We're down to the last 2 billion. They've been handing them out to the exchanges and the creditors and everyone else. This FUD is almost over, guys. We've been dealing with this FUD for 10 plus years. We've been talking about it since 2014. Now we're in 2024. We're finally getting done with this. There has been so many drops and dips caused by Mt. Gox distribution FUD. And now we have distributed almost all of it with $2 billion left, yet Bitcoin is still as strong as ever. Once this is over, it's over. That's it. We don't ever have to worry about Mt. Gox once again. And look at that. Look at, we're going up 65.3. That's what I want to see, right? That's the effect I have on markets. Anyways, so this shows you how strong the market is and why you want to stick with Bitcoin. Because if you truly understand about Bitcoin, you realize that it is the ultimate hedge against inflation and is the greatest store of value that we have by far. Just look at the performance over the last 5 years, 10 years, 14 years, 15 years. Nothing has outperformed Bitcoin. It's not even close. Bitcoin gives you an annualized return of 140% each and every year. Think about it, 140%. What other assets give you that? Nothing. And that is why you have MicroStrategy and you have BlackRock that are accumulating and accumulating and accumulating some more. Saylor's go raise another $2 billion for Bitcoin. He doesn't have enough. He thinks it's never enough. He thinks Bitcoin is going to go to, I forgot his recent prediction, like 10 million to 30 million by some time. Some, I don't know, 2050 or something, 2040. Saylor's going to become a trillionaire because of Bitcoin. There's no doubt in my mind he will become a trillionaire due to Bitcoin. He may be the very first, or maybe Larry Fink will, because BlackRock continues to buy no matter what. BlackRock's IBIT just only has inflows, no outflows whatsoever. Look at yesterday. Even though Fidelity sold about 50 million, Bitwise sold about 21 million, ARK sold about 22 million, and then you have Grayscale selling 71 million, BlackRock was like, no, I don't care. We're going to buy. Tell me how that makes sense. With ETFs, it's dictated by people selling and buying, right? And if everyone's selling on a bad day, how can you have an inflow into a fund? Because there's buying. BlackRock is using their other funds to buy its own fund, basically. Or Larry Fink is buying it directly. There's a lot of things we can't see right now. But all they have is inflow, 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 and more inflow. It doesn't ever outflow for BlackRock. Because Larry Fink understands. Okay? Bitcoin is the one to hold. It's the one to hold forever. It's digital gold and will replace gold someday. Even Van Eyck said that. CEO Jan Van Eyck yesterday said that he sees Bitcoin moving in the same direction as gold. It'll hit 350,000 and one day it's going to be tens of millions. I think 3 million by 2050 and it'll go higher than that. So all these guys are starting to understand what retail has understood for a long time, right? But they're playing catch up. Unfortunately, though, they have billions and trillions. So when they play catch up, they catch up really fast, right? But this is what I've been telling you guys. Ignore the FUD. Look at what the big boys are doing. They're loading up no matter what's happening right now with all the scariness around the world. And not only that, if you truly understand what's happening, right, it'll make your faith and conviction for Bitcoin even higher. Australia's Bitcoin ETF, Monochrome, is going upwards, over 10 million under management right now, over 100 Bitcoin. Very, very tame compared to the US ones, compared to Saylor and Larry Fink's BlackRock and so forth, but still going upwards. We have ETFs from around the world, and more people are turning to them. More and more institutions are buying them and loading up with Bitcoin too. So all fantastic things happening right now. You just got to ignore the FUD, okay, and realize that we're moving according to plan. There's nothing wrong with Bitcoin being at 65.5 right now. Zero. We're less than 10% away from all-time high, despite everything that I've been sharing, all the FUD that's out there. Just take a second and think about that. That's quite amazing. And today, you have what? Amazon still selling off 10% today, right? US market still looking very red. European market still looking very red. Asia looking even more red. With the global sell-off right now, Bitcoin is still looking as strong as ever. So I don't know where the bearishness is coming from. And here's, let's look at some charts here. $10 billion worth of shorts waiting to be liquidated once we get back to 72,000, right? $10 billion. 10 billion. We just need a little push back up to 70 and 72. We were just at 70 days ago. So again, it's not like we haven't seen 70,000 in like 6 months. No, we saw it like 3 days ago. So I don't know why people are so bearish. But anyways, you know, just getting back to 70 and 72,000, we're going to liquidate $10 billion worth of shorts. That's going to cause a pretty good squeeze. That's what we want to see. And we always see these squeezes all the time. All the time, right? And we're going to see more as we recover. Now, here's an inverse head and shoulders pattern. I don't know if that looks exactly like what that pattern looks like, but there are people that have made this argument that we are simply doing a inverse head and shoulders. And if we break through that neckline, guess what? We're going to be above our previous high, and we're going to go a lot higher than that, right? That's basically it. And here's the last thing I'll show you about charts. Again, we are moving according to previous cycles. You can't dispute it. Maybe 2020 was a little bit different, but if you look at 2016 and 2017, same thing happened right before truly breaking the previous high formed in 2013 when Bitcoin hit $1,000. It stood there. It had a hard time breaking. And plus, it doesn't show you the halving event. We had a line showing the halving event. What the breakout in 2017, okay, and the breakout in 2021, basically, they happened like 6 months after the halving event. We haven't been 6 months after a halving event. Actually, some of them were longer, right? So again, if you're discounting everything else, you don't believe anything else that I've been saying, well, believe in this. If you look at just based on history, Bitcoin is moving exactly like how it should. Which means if you just go based on history, you wait a couple more months in September, October, roughly around 6 months after the halving event, that's when Bitcoin will start moving in a big way. Just like all previous times. We went from 1,000 to 20,000 in 2017. We went from 20,000 to 69,000 in 2021. This time around, we're going to go from probably 69,000 to 250,000 by the end of 2025. It's going to be no different. So why would you panic about Bitcoin right now? It makes no sense. All right, outside of Bitcoin, what else is there? Let's see. Coinbase has spectacular 1.4 billion in revenue. So obviously helped by the markets overall, right? Markets did improve a little bit, and then now, of course, volume goes up. And then even Crypto.com surpasses Coinbase in trading volume as institutional demand grows. Again, those pesky institutions, the big money, the big whales, they are loading up on Bitcoin. They are loading up on Bitcoin. And not only that, I got to say, it's not just that. Even Ethereum now, okay? Because I didn't even cover Ethereum, but if you look at Ethereum, they flipped to the positive yesterday, okay? In terms of their ETFs. And guess why? Guess why? BlackRock bought 90 million worth of Ethereum yesterday. Again, BlackRock is trying to dominate everything. Bitcoin, they're the number one Bitcoin holder, I believe, outside of the exchanges and Satoshi. But in terms of a fund, by far, they're the biggest or public trade company. And they're trying to do the same thing with ETH, right? So, and plus, of course, institutions are buying as well. So, I mean, again, you don't want to let these big boys take up all of your hard-earned money. Okay, you don't want to give up your wealth to these guys by panic selling. No, you want to do the opposite. You want to buy when others are fearful. You want to follow what these guys are doing because they are just buying up the supply right beneath your eyes, I guess. No, that's not how the saying goes. But you guys know what I'm saying, right? They are certainly buying while other retail investors are panicking. Just like some of the people in the chat. Again, doesn't quite make a whole lot of sense when we're barely down from our previous high. All right, that's it. Let's do some Q&A. All right. I forgot to say happy Friday. Happy Friday. Haven't streamed in the morning for a while. Start out slow, now picking up. Let's see here. Chicken Ray says, now I see hiring signs everywhere. Remember how it was hard like a few years ago or last year still? It was hard for retail and restaurants and anywhere else, big box stores, to find employees. Now, seems like it's the opposite. Let's see here. People really love drama. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Kevin says, yes, I have lettuce hands. That's not something to be proud of, Kevin. It's not something you should be proud of. You should change that. Make them diamond hands, not lettuce hands. Just saw your doppelganger at Union Station, but realized I was listening to live. That's funny. Ask him if he's George also. A lot of people talking about Intel stock. I mean, all tech is looking absolutely horrible. What's Intel today? Wow. Intel is down 26%, 52-week low today, under 100 billion. They must have reported the worst earnings ever for this to happen. I mean, basically right now, anything that's tech is being sold off. Tesla's not doing bad. Tesla's only down 1.5%, but 213 isn't good either. What's Coinbase? Coinbase is up. That's really surprising. But Coinbase up is very good. So with everything else going down, Coinbase is up. See, it's too late. Like, too bad. I wonder if they could have an emergency like meeting, because FOMC meetings are dictated by a schedule, right? So you can't have just like random FOMC meetings, or can they? I don't know. So yeah. I think this is only showing that there's a 62% chance of a 25 basis point cut. The way we're going right now, it better be like a 50%, like a 50 basis points, because the U.S. economy is looking really bleak right now. Really bleak. And those of you guys that like cars, it's starting to become a good opportunity to buy cars, because many of them are being sold below MSRP. Remember the days when dealerships could mark up their cars, and even paying for a RAV4, you got to pay $10K above MSRP. That is no longer the case. Now you're seeing them being slashed. So I wonder if we could have, I don't know if there's a precedence for this. Like, if things are really bad, can they have an emergency meeting this month rather than wait all the way until September 18th? Because if things start getting really, really bad and markets continue to tank, can Powell come out and say, well, we need to do something now? You know, I don't know how that works. Domingo says, I'm hoping for Bitcoin to hit 50s again, to buy heavy. I mean, we were just 50s like last month. You think there's a chance for me to pick up more at those levels again at DCA daily? You know, the thing is, Domingo, I hear what you're saying, and yes, that is right. If we go into the 50s, of course, you want to buy heavily, right? But the thing is, whenever I see situations like this happen, right, so like we fall down drastically, I see more people panicking than buying. So a lot of people will say, yeah, I want to buy heavy if we go to the 50s again. And then we drop to here, and then I see no one buying, because people are like, well, we might go to the 40s then, right? So you just don't know. If you just continue to DCA, ignore trying to buy bottoms, you'll be just fine, because no one truly knows where that bottom is, and it can happen anytime. So can we go back up to down to 53? Maybe. Or maybe we don't. Maybe we stay above the 63.7 like we have been for the last 2-3 weeks. David Security asks, have you considered that they are doing this on purpose? Who's they? The whales manipulation? Sure. Sure, they could be doing it. All the US data could be fudged. Everything could be fudged. But I think there's some of that. For all of it, no, I don't agree with that. ULID. Are you going to hold any crypto after the cycle? Yes. I plan on taking more profits. Like my profit strategy is just increase the cash pile as we go higher, but I will always hold some crypto, especially Bitcoin. I'm going to hold some Bitcoin forever. Wait until it goes to 1 million plus. Again, I feel like there's too much negative sentiment right now. Right? Even with a contrarian type of view, if you notice, there's so much bad FUD recently, right? If you're a contrarian, you would say, well, that's a good time to be buying when everyone else is panicking. But like I've been saying this stream and forever, Bitcoin isn't doing as bad as the sentiment is making it out to be. I mean, I could see, like, I'm just looking at the live chat going on, like half the people are panicking. Why? Bitcoin is at 65,000. We're 10% off from our previous high. Why would you be panicking when we're barely down from our previous high? And especially considering that tech, like Nvidia, is down like 30% in a month. And others, like Intel, is dropping 30% in a day. You know, global markets are selling off like crazy, 20%, 30%. And Mt. Gox distribution and Department of Justice selling off and Germany selling off. Despite all the nastiness out there, Bitcoin is still at $65,000. Again, it doesn't quite make sense. The negative sentiment out there does not make a whole lot of sense. Bitcoin is doing just fine. Even if you ignore all of that, I've showed this chart, like I said. Even with everything that's happened, we're basically moving according to plan. Nothing has changed. Meridian Heights, I mean, it's kind of true, but that's why I'm here. My only purpose here is to help you guys hodl through the nasty times. Everyone I met this last week said the same thing. They all thank me for helping them stay strong, stay in the game, getting past the previous FUD, helping people pick up Bitcoin at 20,000, 30,000, and so forth. That's really it. The Bitcoin strategy, the ultimate Bitcoin strategy is simply to just hold and DCA and let the gains come to you. The highs will come. Every single time. It's never failed. Higher lows, higher highs, never changes. Martisa, I think that's how you say it, Martisa. My son thanks you for advice. He's only 19 and has DCA'd and happy. I'm glad to hear it. Your son is doing very well. Being 19 and in Bitcoin and DCAing, fantastic. I feel like any young kids that are getting in, you know, if they're like 10, 11 or whatever, like you get them into Bitcoin in the next 8 years, 10 years, they're going to become millionaires. It's really that simple. Anthony, selling is the only way to lock in losses. That's true. That's true. Or being liquidated, but you know. Chris Daniel says he can't print because no one's buying the debt. The monetary system is falling apart. You're talking about Powell, right? Yeah. I mean, the U.S. government has been blessed because the dollar has been so strong. It's the reserve currency of the world. And whenever we need to borrow money, we just issue more bonds and other countries buy them. But if one day comes where other countries stop buying our bonds and we can't borrow money as plentiful as before, then the only resort for the government to make money is to print money. And in that sense, that's just diluting everyone's buying power and the worth of the dollar. And that's when we go in the never-ending cycle of inflation and hyperinflation. And that's what happened to a lot of currencies prior and even now in other countries, other sectors of the world. So bottom line is, the system is broken. It's built on a house of cards. If you truly understand that, and I don't truly understand it, I just know bits and pieces of it, but I could place them together. But if you realize, if that's how really the financial system works, right? How really the money works, how the government controls money, your faith in Bitcoin goes up by 1,000%. So prior cycles, I didn't quite understand. This cycle, I really took the time to kind of pay attention to everything that's going on. And it made my conviction go up so much more than before. Oh, look at this. Breaking news. Morgan Stanley tells wealth advisors they can pitch Bitcoin ETFs in a first for major Wall Street firms. Well, there you go. Again, who are they pitching this to? The wealthy. So notice this is their wealth advisors, okay? That means they're pitching Bitcoin to the wealthy. Again, like what I've been saying, this big money, the smart money, the big whales, right? They're the ones that are loading up right now. They're buying Bitcoin while others are selling. Whether it's physical Bitcoin or paper Bitcoin like ETFs, right? They are loading up. And there's a reason why Morgan Stanley wants to do this. Because they're being asked to, right? The wealthy wants to buy Bitcoin. They're probably telling their advisors, why can't I buy some Bitcoin ETFs? Everyone else is buying, why can't I buy it? And they're caving in. Pew Pew Crew says, George, can you say for a fact that 74K was not top of the cycle? Yes. Yes. Let's see. What is the purpose of the Fed? I don't know. Really to make the bank stronger. That's really it. That's why the Fed was created, to make the bank stronger, the top bank stronger. And all they do is bail out the banks now. Man, it's looking nasty for NASDAQ today. Another down 3.17%, minus 545. That's horrible. That's horrible. Amazon is down 12%. Intel is down 28%. A lot of recession fears. A lot of recession fears right now. This job growth number was horrendous. It was supposed to be 185,000. It's down to 114 for last month. So this month will probably be even worse. And unemployment is growing. This is why we have Bitcoin. Robert says the system is designed to make you have to work, then in a few years make that money you owned worthless so that you have to keep on working. You know, that's not wrong. That's exactly what it is. Higher education was created to create better employees, okay? Not better employers. Higher education, colleges, universities, everything was created so that the wealthy would have a never-ending supply of workers. Okay, so higher education doesn't prepare you in terms of how to manage your finances, how to grow your wealth, how to actually become a business owner, and so forth. Right. So if you think about it, it's all kind of a sham, really. And plus, yeah, no. The notion of building wealth, that's not really taught in schools either. So again, the whole system is made to keep you poor and working, right? And as for money, yeah, the money supply keeps on inflating. That's how it is. That's how it's designed. Even outside of what we went through the last few years, the inflation rate of the US dollar is 2 to 3%. Powell says that. So that means every year, unless your money grows by 2 to 3%, you're losing out. And 2 to 3% compounded over 10 years is a lot. That's like 30%, 40% of your purchasing power just gone, diminished, right? So again, that keeps you poor, makes you continue to work. So everything really, if you think about it, everything is designed to keep you poor and working forever, so that there will always be people that available for jobs and people that are spending forever, and that's why very little people invest. I mean, there's been many polls out there, and I love polls too. Even outside of crypto, how many people are actually invested in anything besides 401ks, right? In terms of just stocks or crypto, it's like such a small percentage because people just don't know any better. VI Jokers, member for 20 months. Thank you. McDonald's is doing good today. You know, I have a McDonald's hat. I gotta dust it off. When Bitcoin was at 15, 16,000, even Sailor put on his McDonald's hat. People are saying, am I turning bearish? No, I'll never turn bearish. If Bitcoin was at 30,000 tomorrow, I would not be bearish about Bitcoin. So you guys will never see that. You'll never see me turn full bear because it'll be fake. Even if I did, it would be fake. Because I truly believe Bitcoin is the ultimate asset to hold forever. Like, I will literally hold Bitcoin forever. And even my kids hold Bitcoin. So, yeah. It's just a matter of, I feel like it's just a game. It's basically a game. See who can accumulate the most within their lifetime. That's really what it comes down to in terms of Bitcoin. Everything else, not so much. But in terms of Bitcoin, if you truly want to build wealth, the easiest path, I believe, is to buy and hold Bitcoin. All right, guys, that is it. I said a lot there, rambled on a lot. I know there's a lot of fear out there. I know there's a lot of fear, especially with global markets selling off, recession fears and all that stuff. But when it comes to Bitcoin, there's really no fear. We know Bitcoin is doing its thing. It's going to come back up. There should be no fear about holding Bitcoin. That's it. I will see you guys. Hey, it's Friday, so I'm not streaming tonight. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right? Have a good one, guys. Take care.